don't roll my eyes.
Are you ready? That was a good eye roll. Now do it the other way.
I can't.
Can't do it, right?
I can only do one eyebrow, too.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. This is what you've stumbled into for the Cheshire Cast. We're here. I am your host, Corey.
And I'm your host, Trisha.
Is there a delay? Or are you just not sure where to come in?
Well, the last couple shows, it's been this Zoom tech bump. I think that was good.
It was good. You want to do it again? Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cheshire Cast.
Hey, everybody.
Ay vey.
That sums up today.
I don't know what day it is. I have no idea what day it is.
It's a regular recording day. It's Wednesday.
I don't know what.
It's our 5th show this week.
I don't know what time it is. I don't know where I am. I'm wearing the same clothes. Like, I basically, I've realized that I could get like 30 days out of a pair of jeans.
30 days out of jeans. Well, you're not leaving the house, so I mean, but.
Well, no, but because if I have to go outside and work, like if I do the lawn, then I just put on the crappy jeans. So, I mean, the only thing I've really washed is socks and underwear.
Well, you do have to keep in mind that the inside of the jeans can get dirty after 30 days.
Yeah.
Just from regular life going on. But you do you, Corey. I'm impressed you're even in jeans. I have not put on anything with a button or a zipper probably in 6 weeks.
Today. Let's focus on today.
So, how are your kids doing with distance learning? How are they doing? Everybody's got a different experience, and it could be even vary from day to day. How are your guys doing? You have 3 different kids, 3 different age groups. How are you guys getting along?
I want to stick pins in my eyes.
How about the kids?
That's about that. That's,
are they frustrated?
I have nothing but admiration, more admiration than I had prior for their teachers.
Are the kids going through periods where it's so easy and they're so happy they're not in school, and then it's so hard and they realize they missed 10 assignments without knowing it, and then they get overwhelmed and have to like claw their way back? That's the experience we've been having.
I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. I think we've been pretty good about staying on top of them.
That's awesome. That's half the game right there.
So
I let my kids. I'm like on top of them for a little while, and then I ease up and let them give them some rope, and then they trip up in it, and then I on top of them for a while. And right now, we had to have a Google Meet today with a teacher, and it went really well. My 10-year-old thinks there's just like no consequences. Like it's so abstract for him. He's like, I don't have to do anything. And then I'm like, well, your teacher, you have to talk to your teacher. And he's like, oh. So he's been.
You know what's going to happen when this is all, when the kids go back to school?
No idea.
Especially especially my high schoolers.
What?
They're going to need lots of counseling.
Okay. Like they don't now.
I need counseling more now. But when they go back, they're going to need it. We have
a really good guest on then to talk about probably 15 million questions that we have.
Segue? That was a good segue?
That was good.
Almost?
No, it was good.
Okay. So we have the department chairperson for school counseling at Cheshire High School. I'm going to butcher the name, so I'm going to let Patricia
Catucci.
Butcher it. So
yeah.
Catucci?
Michelle Catucci.
Oh, I would have done fine then.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You got it.
Yeah. It's Michelle. It's Michelle B. Isn't that
that's her rap?
Yeah.
That's her rapper name.
That's my rap name. Yeah. No. So actually, the B is for Boss, BOSS, which is my maiden name, and it was too cool the last name to completely get rid of. So when I got married, I
Mrs. Boss. Miss Boss. That's your rapper name.
Can't get rid of that.
No, don't abbreviate that at all.
Your husband should have taken your last name.
He thought about it, but
Mr. Boss.
Traditional, so we went with his last name instead.
All good. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's what?
So
what's
awesome. So how long have you been with Cheshire Public Schools?
So this is my 4th year with Cheshire. I have worked in school counseling for 14 years. But when the department chair position opened up at Cheshire High School, I actually really I live in Wallingford, so I'm just right down the road, and always really loved Cheshire and the school system. I knew teachers that worked at Cheshire High School and loved it there. So when the opportunity came, the department chair position opened up, I jumped at it right away. So this is my 4th year as part of Cheshire Public Schools.
So you're going to have to forgive us today because I'm going to fit 2 episodes into one. Because I want to know what your life was like and what you did for the kids prior.
As long as we do it in under an hour.
Yeah, I swear. I want to know. I want to know what you did for kids prior to distance learning and what you'll be bringing them back to after. I also want to know your role in distance learning and how this might affect our kids and how we can maybe help them when we come out of this. Be prepared for college, re-entry into the school, that kind of thing. So starting pre-learning, distance learning, what was your role in the high school?
Yeah, so, the school counselor it's through regular education. So all students have a school counselor. When I was in high school, and so maybe when some of the listeners were in high school, it was your guidance counselor. That's probably a term that people are more familiar with. Yeah. So probably like 25 years ago, the title changed from guidance counselor to school counselor. So like the state certification. So it highlights that it's more than just that guidance counselor that was sitting in their office. And if you pop by, they can maybe give you a few college brochures and you'd go on your way. But the school counselors actually we have a curriculum that we follow just like teachers would. So in 3 big areas. So academics, the college and career piece, and then personal, social, emotional needs. So the academics is a really easy one to describe our involvement with that. We are the people, especially at the high school level, that are helping kids with their schedules. If students are struggling, helping them get the supports that they need, and working with teachers and administrators in that respect. The college and career piece is something I think people associate us most closely with, because especially at Cheshire High School, that's a big interest to our students. They're all doing something after high school, whether that's going to college, going right into career. So working with them, just kind of explore and see what's out there, because you don't necessarily know what you want to do when you enter high school. Some may still not know what they want to do when they leave, but at least they have some guidance on what's available, how to research, how to look at different schools and programs and things like that. And then, I think a huge part of that conversation, especially in today's climate, is how to pay for all of that, like that financial literacy piece of it as well. And then the personal social stuff is really, I'd say, what we feel like we spend most of our time doing, and that's really managing students and how they're feeling, whether that's, personally with their relationships with friends, maybe relationships with, people outside of school, like their parents and things like that, but just talking through all of those things. Because there's a lot of pressures on kids today, so they need an outlet. And thankfully, Cheshire is really supportive of having those resources in place for our students. So we are able to offer a lot of services, whether that's talking to kids one-on-one or doing group counseling or doing lessons or different things like that. Actually, K through 12 in Cheshire, which is rare in Connecticut that it is a K through 12 program. So Cheshire is very lucky to have that support, which is really in line with now Dr. Solon, right? We just got the email. He's a doctor now.
Oh, really?
With his initiative. He finished his dissertation, so he's a doctor.
Who?
I think it was just
Jeff
Solon.
The superintendent.
Dr. Solon.
Yeah.
So next time he's on the show, we have to introduce him properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that dissertation. That's tough. Good for him. Congratulations, Jeff.
Yeah.
Dr. Solon.
Yeah, we can't even call him Jeff anymore.
No, Jeff.
He's just doctor. Every time we see him, we have to be real proper about it too. Be like, doctor.
He'll be upset if we do that.
No, he won't. He'll be upset if you do it.
Maybe if he sits a little taller.
He'll expect it from me.
We digress.
Yeah. But his emphasis on just not the complex thinking, but the social emotional learning for our students.
It's huge. Without one, you can't have the other. And that's really been, I know you mentioned over the last 25 years, they changed the title. Over the last 25 years, they've really made it a huge pendulum swing from purely academic and truly like an institutional type learning experience to the whole child.
Right.
So yeah, it's
I mean,
only gaining speed.
It's preparing our kids to be successful. Obviously, you can have all the book smarts in the world, but if you don't have resiliency and grit and all of those things that we're teaching, that it can only get you so far. So.
And I really think over the last 25 years, anxiety has been, I mean, it was probably always there with a certain degree, but I really think it's being more acknowledged and, worked with so that children can really gain more potential and insight as to, what anxiety is, how you can deal with it. And
I wonder if some of that
huge.
anxiety comes from the amount of connectivity we have these days as opposed to even 20 years ago.
And that would play even for adults.
It's true.
You never get to turn off, right? When I was in high school, we left the girls and, the dramas at school. You went to sports and you went home. That was it. Now it's.
Yeah, well, if I leave the house without my phone, I freak out because, oh my God, if work can't get in touch with me.
They have our number, that's for sure. And we play right into it because, I mean, you leave your phone at home, you're lost. I don't know. I get nervous in the car. Like, what if something happens? I grew up half my life without a cell phone. We'll be fine.
Right.
We're just so programmed to be so dependent on a piece of technology. And as easy as it's made our lives, it's complicated it in that exact same amount. So
absolutely.
I agree with you, Corey, 100%.
What are some of the issues that you're seeing aside from the anxiety that you're seeing with our high school students?
I think the anxiety is definitely a huge piece. And I think that it's like the things that stems from, right? So we have a community of I won't just say our kids, because I think the entire Cheshire community of people who are doing like really awesome, amazing things with their time, with, their resources. So I think there's a lot of pressure on our students to leave their mark, I guess, and not just kind of like, go with the status quo, that they want to make meaningful contributions, that they want to get good grades, that they want to be involved in things. And I'd say that's the majority of our students kind of just living up to that pressure. And
so academic pressures, if you will.
Also, she's saying community involvement pressure as well.
Yeah. We do. We have the students, I'd say, are super engaged in giving back to the community and want to do it. And
we've seen that so firsthand. We really have. Yeah. Almost all the people we have on have a group of kids at the school that they work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have amazing kids. We are so fortunate.
And it's great that they have so many options too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was saying if it doesn't exist at Cheshire High School, kid makes it exist in some way, whether it's starting a new club or, just getting a group of students together. So I think a lot of that anxiety and pressure comes from just, a really good place, like wanting to do well. And then for those kids that maybe don't fit that mold and just kind of want to go with the flow, which there's definitely kids like that too, that then there's some, worry there that they're not living up to everything that they should be doing too. So
it's like an expectation thing
as well. Mm-hmm.
Complicated.
Yeah. And then,
that's complicated.
And
in high school, we had to do a sport. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's very difficult with the Zoom thing because not only is there a delay, but the technology isn't exactly working. So every time I talk, it doesn't switch to my screen, so I keep having to manually switch it. And then there's that silly delay when it's not as good as when you're sitting down because you can.
In person, I
could go like this, like pause. Subtly, like stop, and Trisha will,
in person, I can sense a pause, and then I can interject.
Yes.
Here, a pause may not. It's mistimed, so I'm jumping in over you, and I apologize. It's difficult, especially for the listener.
Yeah.
What credentials does one have? What credentials does one have to be a member of the board? There.
A member of the board.
You're the
chairperson.
I lost my notes. I apologize.
That's okay.
The computer in front. Trisha, you did something because the computer in front of me did
I'm not having a good electronics day.
It totally crashed. I had it all up. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then it was like, we can't connect to Gmail.
So your team that you had, what are you working with a bunch of school counselors and everybody has like a caseload? What kind of academic credentials does one follow to become a school counselor?
Exactly. Yes. That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. We're all on the same page now. So to be a school counselor in the state of Connecticut, to be a school counselor in the state of Connecticut, you have to have a master's degree in school counseling. So I grew up in Pennsylvania, which is why you see the Steelers logo if that's in the video here. In Pennsylvania, you can get certified to either be like a high school counselor or an elementary counselor. In Connecticut, it's a K through 12 certification. So master's level education, it's about a 60 credit master's program. So a little bit longer than some other master's programs out there. But really that is, designed to teach us those foundational pieces of the academic, the college and career, and the personal social with like direct counseling techniques, group counseling, theories of counseling, all that, really, really exciting stuff. And then for the practical piece of it, the practical piece of it is a practicum where you're just kind of going into a school and kind of observing, watching what school counselors do day to day, and then a full year internship, similar to like a student teacher, where you're actually then you have a small caseload as an intern and you're participating as a school counselor under the guidance of practicing school counselors. And when we were certified, it was a little bit longer. It's currently a 700-hour internship, which works out to, you could do it like part-time over a full school year if you needed to, so that people can also work.
So that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work to do.
That's a master's degree level work. That's professional.
You have to really, really kind of want to be in that career to go through that. I mean, when did you know you were like, this is what I want to do?
Did it evolve?
Did you fall into it, or what happened?
I didn't. It was planned. So I was a psychology undergrad at Villanova whenever I did my undergrad work. And as one may know, you can't really do much as far as the job is concerned with just a psychology, a bachelor's in psychology. So I went right into
That's just the first step.
I thought I was going to be a clinical psychologist and do research and all of this great stuff. I knew I'd go back to grad school eventually. So my first job out of college was as a research assistant with the University of Pennsylvania. And I was making very, very little money because I was at the bottom of the totem pole living in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So that part was not fun at all. But the clinical psychology, there was so many pressures to be published and to do research and to do all these things right away. And I'm just not that cutthroat. I wanted to be working with people. Like, that's why I went in. I liked psychology because I liked working with people. So I investigated what I could do with a psychology degree. And again, with bachelor's level, there wasn't much. But I was drawn towards counseling psychology because that was really interactive directly with people. And I would like kids, and a school year schedule is very appealing. So looking at the options with counseling psychology, I looked at school counseling. And it was funny, after I decided to, enroll in a program, my mom actually said, like, don't you remember when you were in fourth grade, which is, why would I remember that you said you wanted to be a child psychologist? And I was like, I don't remember that. And she showed me like the paper.
Parents always remember.
When I was in fourth grade,
she pulls out of the closet the artwork.
Like, I have that on video
with a kid.
Exactly.
Let me show you.
Yeah.
It's your kindergarten graduation.
Yeah, so definitely it was me doing some research and evolving, but that seed, I guess, was always there that I wanted to be working with students, with kids in some capacity. And, this just seemed like a really good fit. I truly love what I do. And I think there are 7 school counselors at the high school. I think all of us truly love working with students because, as you're saying, like, it can be tough work from day to day. So
do you have siblings?
I love it.
We love our students counselor. We love her.
How many siblings do you have?
So I have a sister. I have a unique family situation, right? I have a sister from my parents' marriage and then 3 half brothers from my dad's second marriage who I basically grew up with because they were the same age and lived in the town over. So
I think non-traditional families are now traditional families.
Yeah,
I think that's where we are.
I won't go into detail as to why, but that doesn't sound too far-fetched. Once we turn off the recorder, I'll tell you why. But
okay.
the reason I ask is because you were saying, you said you wanted to be a teacher in 4th grade, or you wanted to be
a child psychologist.
Child psychologist in 4th grade. Yeah. I think the alternate sometimes happens is your siblings kind of wish your future for you. I wanted to go to West Point and be in the Army, and that's what my brother did. So,
there you go.
I get to host podcasts. I never, I don't know.
My sister always wanted to be a mom. She's so lucky. She has 4 kids. She always wanted to be a mom. Always.
That was all she wanted to be.
It happened.
Yeah. And she's now a school bus driver, and the kids, she's a mom to like all of those kids. She loves it. Yeah. She's amazing.
What's your favorite part about the job, Michelle?
I mean, definitely, working with the students and specifically to Cheshire, I think like just working at Cheshire High School. The staff is amazing. The kids are great. I love my team in the school counseling department. There are days, of course, where you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to go to work. But I never, not want to go to work because I don't love what I'm doing. It's just more of the, like, I'd rather stay in my pajamas. Oh, no, now that we do that all the time, no. I would send me there.
Well, that's why I've been putting jeans on. It's just to feel like I'm changing. Do you know?
I change twice a day into lots of different comfy clothes.
Nice. Do you know either of my children? Just based on last name? No,
I don't know.
That might be a good thing. I don't know.
Oh, do you know mine? Zowell?
I don't. No.
Oh, good. No, it's good. He works with one of your coworkers, and full disclosure, I have an educational background, so I have a lot of experience with different staff and different reaching out techniques and different way people relate to kids. However, they got paired up together. I don't know what the system is. I don't know if it's a random draw, but they work so well together, and she's so fantastic. So kudos to Cheshire that they have. She's amazing. She's been really there for him in all different types of things going on this year with him. Nothing awful, just wow. It's great to have somebody who reaches out so incredibly in a non. He's never like embarrassed or intimidated, or like he's just so himself with her, and that's a true sign of somebody who's working with kids, that they should be working with kids. So kudos to Cheshire.
I mean, it really is an amazing team of people. Like, I would say that hopefully every parent will have that experience with their child's counselor, regardless. It is alphabetical. If you want to know the magic system, it does go by alphabet. It's on that class here, but it's
I also, as a parent, don't feel obligated to not reach out to your child's counselor. You do not have to be in a crisis situation to avail yourself of that type of relationship in that environment. It's great it makes the community smaller for them. And what kid doesn't need that? And this high school is just it's so much change. There is so much pressure, academically, socially, community wise. I get it. So you can make their world a tiny bit smaller and more supported by reaching out to the counselor without need, really introducing them. Yeah. It's a great connection to make and have. So any parent that's listening, even not locally, even our wider range of listeners, professionals like you exist in the system, not just for crisis. Yeah, you're there as support, guidance, and you're not like a parent. So they might listen to you a little bit. We could say the same things, but coming from you, coming from a different person. Distance learning. Drum roll, please. How high school kids going into college? Let's focus there. Let's leave all the other millions of questions I could ask you out because the time goes by so quickly.
Well, she's just going to ask you all the questions now in a row. So just be ready.
One.
All right.
What are we doing with the kids who are in mid-application or mid-acceptance process? What's going on?
Go.
Yeah, go. So, and it's funny.
It's a tough topic.
It is a tough topic, and we are at different stages with different grades of kids. So our seniors are obviously in a really different place than our juniors are right now. So with our seniors, that group of kids,
I have a senior here.
I know, we're just trying to keep their spirits up at this point. Reaching out to them, and be like, this is awful. Like, this is the worst time for this to happen for seniors. Just because the end of the year is something I think they've all been looking forward to for so long, and they want answers and we don't have them yet, which is so hard. But from kind of that post-secondary piece, so I actually, with distance learning, I spend at least 2 hours of my day every day in a Google Meet with either our administrators and teachers from Cheshire or with school counselors from across the state. I was in a meet with College Board today, really just talking to them to figure out how we can make this work for kids and for no one to feel like they're at a disadvantage because of the situation that we're in. I mean, seniors were getting their acceptances from colleges and trying to make a decision of where they're going to go. And thankfully, the post-secondary, the higher ed has responded by extending deadlines. So May 1st used to be the national deadline date where you had to have a deposit in to say you're going to school. And a lot of the colleges are shifting those dates to give kids more time just to kind of figure out what they want to do, to see how this is all playing out. The higher ed pieces that they're talking about, if they're going to defer applications or situations for kids, like Boston University, for example, last week was talking about maybe they're not even going to open until 2021. So for kids that were going to go to BU,
January 2021.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
It's a moving target. It changes, I feel like daily about like what's working and what's not.
So all that my daughter has been talking about, literally every other sentence is something about college. She's already got a roommate picked out. She's this, that, the other thing. If it comes to pass that 2021 is, January 2021 is the start, I don't know how she's going to handle it. She's not going to
think about the things she's already having to sacrifice, right? I mean, not to diminish life and the pandemic.
But this is specific to the topic we're on.
Specific to seniors, because my youngest niece is a senior, so their world is what they know. They're 17, they're 18. They've been in this high school. This is supposed to be their year where they're like BMOC, they're the seniors. They're supposed to get certain privileges and prom and graduation and academic, a lack of academic intensity. Like these are like the elective years. And it's just been so just truncated and through no fault of their own and with zero control. They have zero control over it. I feel for them. I see some people putting on their prom dresses and taking pictures.
Oh man.
We got to get creative.
Yeah, we're trying, the school counseling department, we're trying, because we actually, I think that as far as our interaction with distance learning with kids, I feel like our seniors are probably the group we're hearing the least from, unless they do have specific questions.
Talk about senioritis.
Right. They're slightly different.
You don't even have to be in school. How are they logging in? I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if it was like the tail end of my senior year, if I'd be on Google Meets every day. Like,
no,
I don't know if I would.
No, right? If I was in the position, I wouldn't either. So we are actually, because we love them and we miss them and we care about them. We want to do something for them just to kind of like it not be academic, it just to be fun. There's things that they're missing out on. So typically on that May 1st National Decision Day, for years and years, Cheshire High School students have worn like the shirt of the college they're going to go to, or if they're going to the military, like something like that. That May 1st is just kind of this unspoken thing that people have always done. So we are in the works. We're planning kind of for that whole first week of May, just like fun things that seniors can do. We're creating a Google Classroom for their grade. Won't tell all the secrets yet so that they can have some, but just to make it like a light, fun week. So at least they're still getting one special senior experience that maybe
something to make it different. They've worked so hard for so long.
Yeah. So we're trying to think of those things, because I think all of us are like, oh, like if I was them, like this would be tough. And then even just that uncertainty of what's next and how that's going to impact.
Do they even start college in September or August? Like that's even still, everything's unknown.
Yeah. And the other piece of it that I think is very real for a lot of people right now too, is that financial situations are changing because of COVID.
Yep.
So that maybe the plan that you thought you had in December is not the plan that you can have now, and how to move forward. So, as more of that information is coming out, because again, I feel like the content every day that, especially from higher ed, that they're giving us, it's like we're trying to share as much of that as we can with students and families, so they're aware. But like, for example, one of the things that I think, if there is someone who's in a different financial situation that they may have been before, the community college system in Connecticut this year, so for the fall of 2020, for the first time, they are offering free community college at any of our 12 community colleges in Connecticut for a student that's never gone to college before. So that could be someone that just graduated in 2020, or that could be an adult that never went to college and wants to start doing post-secondary education.
So although tragic, maybe not final.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, and the very cool thing about the Connecticut community colleges is, so that would be, you just have to fill out a FAFSA, and that's how you are eligible for the PACT program. Typically, community colleges can offer programs for 2 years and you get your associate. And then they have partnered with Central, Southern, Eastern, and Western state universities in Connecticut to guarantee that every credit would transfer to one of those 4 institutions. So if you did want that 4-year degree, you're not going to lose any time or any credit, which was not the case before the transfer ticket program existed. So I think that for a student that, if their ultimate goal was that 4-year degree, but right now might not be the time financially, or even they're just not feeling ready after the situation that we're in, that they can still be working towards that goal of that 4-year degree, but in a way that's cost effective. And still, though, I don't know if you've been on any of the community college campuses, their facilities are amazing. Middlesex has one of the most beautiful, it's called their New Media Center. Amazing, comparable to, you go on to those campuses that get the big bucks from, being a private institution. But there's great resources in Connecticut. I think they're really
the competition to get into those schools moving forward now that they're offering this program. What I found, I went to school in the New York school state system.
Mm-hmm.
Once you offer this type of economic windfall, really, for families of a free college education, any portion of it, you have people that wouldn't necessarily have been joining the college experience. When you offer free education, you will increase the application process by whatever fold. A massive amount of people are going to be applying. What then happens to these community colleges is not that they can be more choosy with who they let in, but the grade point average, they can be more selective with. It increases the competitive nature of these community colleges to the point where the CUNY system in New York is a fantastic education. Mm-hmm. Just pure competitive nature of the more students that are applying, the bigger pool you have to choose from, the better the education becomes. So kudos to Connecticut for dipping their toe into that pool, because I think education should be free for everybody, but I know it's not a possibility.
Get there eventually. I don't know how Connecticut's paying for it, but it's great that we can offer it.
Well, they're just kicking the can down the road. That's that's what we do.
There's money everywhere for everything. It's where it's allocated and how and how it's columned and itemized.
It's like a 19-year-old kid with a credit card in Las Vegas. I'll pay for it later. won't follow me.
The professors are already there. You're just adding more kids in the classroom.
Well, yeah. How effective
And now
is more kids in the classroom?
They're spending money on campus. You have, fees and such. So even though it's free, there's activity fees, and students generate money, whatever town that college is in. And then the state gives certain money per body. It's complicated and it's not easy. It's not free, but it's also not as huge and astronomical an expense that people who don't want to pay for it want to make it out to be. That's a conversation for a different day. I want free medical care too, so
that's a conversation for a different day too.
That is. Ever liberal, I am.
Do you interact with any of the other organizations within Cheshire, like Cheshire's Human Services, for example, or are you guys just isolated to the high school?
Another Michelle.
Correct.
Yeah, another Michelle. There's a lot of Michelles in
with 2 C's in her last name too. You guys are almost related.
People get us confused all the time. Actually, if they start asking questions like, "Do you want to talk to Michelle Picarello?" So yes, we work with them very closely. And then the other 2 roles that people should know exist at the high school, we also have school psychologists and school social workers. So school psychologists has a similar role to us, but they are the ones who can do the educational and the psychological testing on students. So they work with special ed students primarily.
So like 504s?
But in 504s, we're actually the case managers for those. Since there's the regular education. Yep. And then the school social workers are, they're a great link. They work with regular ed and special ed, but they are
What's a 504? Sorry.
Oh, no, it's a good question. So a 504 is an accommodation plan. It's 504 because it's from section 504 of, oh my gosh, now I'm blanking. Title
Academic
9.
Code.
Yeah. Right?
I think that's the girls' sports one. No?
9, right?
I don't.
No. Yeah. So even an adult can have a 504 plan, but it's that if there's a medical diagnosis, so it could be that someone has diabetes or has ADHD that needs accommodations in the school or work setting, that the plan is just what sets those accommodations in there, but it's not modified work. It's, accommodations just to kind of, I like to say, level the playing field rather than
right.
modifying things specifically.
Well, thank you. Sometimes Trisha throws these things out like everybody's supposed to know what they are. And you were like, yeah, I know what she's talking about. It's fine. But I'm over here like, all right, guys, wait a minute.
I do that when we talk about music. So that's your job.
Yeah, but you don't stop us to ask questions about like what a clef note is or something.
No, because usually I'm like.
Yeah, you usually pass out and fall asleep.
By the time. But yeah, 504s. So, but those are specifically dealt with. You guys are handling the 504s, then you said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. You have a very large spectrum of work.
We do. We do a lot of things. We wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
And you're coordinating with all of the other aspects because there's meetings. When you have a meeting for a student, there's like 7 different arms in that room that each have a different, I guess not job, but role in the child's life. It's great to know that our kids are supported like that.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I would say, the collaboration aside from with youth services, we work with the school nurses really closely, obviously our administrators, and even like I personally have a very good connection and network of other school counselors in the state of Connecticut, just so, especially in the if you know what the DIRGs are, DIRG A and B, which are the similar reference groups to Cheshire, so schools like Farmington and Avon and things like that. We talk to make sure that, issues that might come up at one school, ways to deliver things, resources that, we're making sure that we're working with one another so that, it's the work smarter, not harder kind of thing where,
shared
working
experience
together and being very collaborative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Collaborative, shared experience. I think education should be like that all the time. And a lot of times it proves to be so. If a plan works in one school, why not, investigate it for your own? It may not fit in depending on, like you said, like the DIRG groups, you want to have some commonalities. But if something's working amazing in a school that has your kind of demographics, to not investigate that and ask them how it's working, and that it'd be foolish not to do that. That's how many man hours
Well, Jeff touched on that when he was on the show, and he talked about how they do tours and meet with other teachers and all that stuff. So I feel confident that Cheshire has that in mind.
When I was a novice teacher, I was lucky to I was able to work with somebody who was two separate people I worked with. One was like an authoritarian teacher, and one was like a free spirit kind of like hippie teacher. They were both amazing. And to spend time with both of them, you learn by watching from these other people who have all of this experience. The amount of exposure you gain and perspective is amazing. So you have to work and watch and learn from those that go before you. Not to repeat, you can change, you can alter. There's a whole, alphabet of things you can take from an experience, and what works in one school might not work in another. But if you just change one little aspect of it, it could be a huge, benefit to your school system.
I saw anyway. In your profile picture, you had the Cheshire Powder Puff jackets on. Now, are you also involved in that too?
Yeah. So
oh boy.
Powder Puff, as it just came back, this year, I was one of the 4 coaches of the juniors who won the Powder Puff game.
Wow.
So, wow. Yes, it was actually awesome. And that's is going back to how awesome our kids are. There was a group of girls there that were like, why don't we do this anymore? We want to do it. And I was not there when all, the history went down of why it stopped. But they approached administration about it. They figured out a way to make it happen. The support for the girls, for people to come watch the games, there were food trucks. It was awesome. So,
cool.
It was just a small scale. We're looking forward to next year for it to be even bigger.
Explain what Powder Puff is for those that don't know.
So Powder Puff is a football game that the girls play, and then or really, I guess in today's world that we'll be, I guess, loose with our terminology of females and males, but and then the football players that would typically be on the field that are on the varsity team for Cheshire High School were the ones that were the cheerleaders, and they really came out and supported the girls. They were really excited, but we ran plays, we had practices, so it was flag football. There was no tackle, but it was a full 60-minute game with a running clock for the second half because we started to get a little tired. But
you were coaching women's football. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I would say
for Cheshire.
When I had it was myself, Jenna Gerard, who's one of the counselors, Jim Vicario, and Virginia Knott, who are both in the social studies department. And I will give the credit of he came up with all of the plays. We helped coach all the Jenna, Virginia, and I are all football fans, so we knew what we were talking about. But Jim at least helped get stuff on paper. So,
Jenna is my son's counselor. Now that you said her name, she's good people.
Jenna's wonderful.
So Michelle, it's important to know in between Patricia being a teacher, a auto mechanic, a airline pilot.
I was a social worker and a teacher.
And the social work and all that stuff. She also played rugby at some point.
Awesome.
So she
for a very long time. Started at Stony Brook.
All that stuff.
Yeah, rugby, but it was tackle though.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell her about that time you saved that flight.
No joke.
When you were,
are you talking about the cannibals?
When you were the airline pilot and you nearly crash landed on that island, but you know.
Never. It wasn't me. That's a movie. I thought you were talking about that movie where the rugby players did cannibalism. It was a true story, but it wasn't us.
No, that wasn't. That was. I believe they were a South American team, right? And they landed in the Andes.
South African, South American. Yeah, they landed in. Yeah.
There's a novel called Alive.
Yes, that was the movie too.
Oh yes, yeah.
That was a rugby team, not my rugby team. We never flew anywhere. We drove.
Drove in a van.
But that's why I'm jazzed that there's girls, women, young women wanting to get out there and not just watch the guys play, although that's cool too, but to say, hey, we want to play football too. And that's what Title IX is all about.
There was a young lady on Connor's freshman football team this year.
Yes, yeah.
it's nice to be included, but it's
credit.
also nice to be part of a larger group of women who want to play, because so being included is awesome and having it available is great. But when you're a one out of many, it's a different experience. But when you're one of many, it's more.
I didn't think of that.
It's cool.
That's
to have
why you're
available.
here, though.
Well, and what was great about the girls that played Powder Puff this year, I'd say for both the juniors and the seniors, it wasn't just our athletes. It was girls that were just like, this sounds cool and I want to try it. Like, so people were really putting themselves kind of out of their comfort zone to try something different just because it sounded like it'd be a cool experience. And I mean, they got into it. It was awesome.
It's empowering. It's empowering.
Man,
really
you're blowing my mind up. Now you're making me think a whole different thing that I didn't, up until that moment, I didn't even think about. Thanks, Trisha. Oh, boy. This is what the show does to me. It's completely changed my perspective on so many things. But that would take a whole nother week and a half to explain.
Well, that's empowering, and what an awesome role to give to the girls of Cheshire. Kudos to you. I also know
look at you being a role model.
The hockey girls I know went after it this year too. Good for them.
Yeah,
good for them.
Yeah, I mean,
girl power.
Speaking up like they did, it's just so cool. I mean, I love it.
I love it. I watch it on the forum. I watch different clubs happening and different. They're going to like Board of Ed meetings and saying like equal, please, not more, not better, equal. This would be great. Yep. I love watching it. And then they're being supported but not led. Yep. And they're facing strife. They're not. The path isn't paved for them. And there's some disappointment along the way. They don't win every battle, but it's just great to watch these high schoolers say, it's time. It's time. Yeah. And we've dealt with so many things for so long. And,
what amazing lessons for them as they move on into their life.
The battles, we just give them shoulders, and I'm on top of great shoulders too. And hopefully one day, we can at glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh, is it that?
No,
that's not a thing.
No, it is a thing, but it's not. That's another thing. So we covered pre. Okay, hold on. Oh gosh, we're done. How are we going to integrate the kids in 30 seconds or sooner? How are we going to integrate the kids once we're back? Like, hi kids, we're back.
Great question. No, and I think that'll depend on. That'll depend on really what it looks like when we go back. I think that the community is going to be so excited to be together that we'll fall into those normal things as much as we can. But I think from the school counseling perspective, what we've recognized is that this group of juniors that we have right now might need a little extra TLC from us when they come back, because all of the planning they would have done with us at the end of their junior year is now going to be smooshed into the fall of their senior year with the fall of the senior year stuff. So, and I think that the what next, I think it'll depend so much on these timelines that the state gives us and what that means for schools. But we are ready for the challenge, and we are excited to work with the kids once we get to that point.
And that's academic.
We're ready to send them back to school.
So the social emotional aspect too of these kids coming back, you have to work them through the we're living through a once in a lifetime, hopefully once in a generation pandemic, global pandemic. Yeah. When they come back, the socio-emotional piece of that puzzle, you guys are going to be feeling in a very blunt way. That's going to be a whole new. I mean, I don't remember learning about that chapter when I was doing my master's degree. I don't remember the pandemic recovery chapter. So it's going to be. I don't remember it. So
you mean nobody wrote that?
You guys, once again, you're breaking the mold. You're not breaking it. You're creating the mold. This distance learning, you just are threading together things and making it work. When they come back, again, pandemic recovery. What does it look like? We don't know. So we support you as parents. 100%. We look forward to following your lead, not staying silent. Obviously, we always have ideas, but thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's as much as you're saying that, I think that now more than ever, the collaboration between school and home and family is so apparent that it takes a village, right? Like we are all in this together. And I don't
my gosh, somebody just put this up. It takes a village to raise a child and a distillery to homeschool. I thought that was perfect. I was like, sorry, I just interject that. But we're working with you. We're following your lead. Yeah. So lead on. Not a role you asked for, but it's a role you have.
Continue to work together in the fall and through the rest of this year, of course. But it's been a very unique experience in my time in education, and I think we're just becoming a stronger community through it. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, I appreciate you joining us for an hour tonight.
My pleasure. This was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot more fun in the room than it is on Zoom. It's the flow is a little different. Trish and I are still trying to figure it out. And you believe me, I watch a lot of nighttime TV, and all the talk show hosts are trying to figure it out. they're all.
Oh, yeah.
So but we're not as good as some of them. Better than others, but
I think this is great. You're doing good work.
Thank you.
But I say it just on every episode, just about every episode. One of my favorite things about doing this show, and the reason I did this show, is to meet so many of the people that are involved in our community and in the lives of our community. And you're a very important one. You connect with our kids. Right now, both Trish and I have kids in the high school. Between the two of us, there's 3 kids that are in high school that at some point or another you'll have some interaction with, or you've had some involvement with on some level. I think the parents, when school comes back into play, the parents are going to be more prepared to support you than they've ever been. Because I wasn't joking when I was saying before how, wanting to put pins in my eyes sometimes, because it's a difficult job taking care and educating our children all day long. So God bless those of you who are involved with them for that 8 hours a day that we aren't.
And they come home happy.
You shut off your video.
I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. I'm sorry.
They do come home happy, but I for one, and Trisha for two, she said it. I definitely appreciate you and all of the staff at our high school and high schools around the country, everywhere. I mean, it's a sometimes thankless job. So,
well, thank you.
Kudos to you. And that's our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And, we'll be back again, probably 2 days, 3 days. We're doing shows like all the time. My wife's like, are you just living in podcast land? I'm saying, yes, I am. It's
I put on mascara and my kids are like, you have another show? I'm like, yeah.
Yep. See? You don't have to worry about putting makeup on, Trisha. You're beautiful as it is.
Thank you. But the mascara gives me a little zhuzh.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. I got to compliment you all the time.
Okay, I'll take it.
It's good.
I appreciate it.
So this has been fun. Trish, it's nice to see you multiple times a week now. Michelle, again, thank you for joining us.
It was fantastic to meet you.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
and
you guys as well.
we owe you a in-studio visit. So when you come in, when we all go back to they're calling the new normal,
whatever that means.
We'll figure it out, and then we'll have you come in here, and we'll have wine, and we'll have a big party. It'll be great.
Chocolate.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, chocolate.
Chocolate, sure. So that being said, thanks everybody for tuning in to the Cheshire Cast. This has been real. Right now, we are up for nomination on the Best of Cheshire at the Record Journal. So. Please,
thank you, listeners.
Yeah, please vote for us. I will post a link so you can get out there and hit that vote button, bring our numbers up. Somehow we got nominated. It's awesome.
We have listeners. Go figure.
Yeah. Go find us on your favorite podcast app. You could find us on iTunes. You can find us on the Libsyn page. You can find us on Stitcher, Podbean. iHeartMedia, Spotify, all your favorite podcast apps. We're
all
there.
over Facebook.
Our Patreon will be live soon. Our webpage is coming up. Anywhere you listen to us.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah, we're on YouTube now.
That's huge.
Video. Give us 5 stars because that helps us, get up in the
algorithms,
rankings and algorithms, and we show up on people's pages. They go, "Who are these people?" And they, well, listen, blah blah blah.
And
anyway,
they criticize us. That's fun.
That's fine. I mean, when you live with this face, you're used to criticism, and that's how it is with
when you have an opinion like this, you get criticized.
Mm-hmm. So, again, thanks everybody, and with that, we will say good night.
Adios.
So, on the count of 3, we all say bye. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Bye.
Bye.